Why does incarcerating yourself in this cell give you the illusion of power?
Power is sovereignty, Mr. Bond. Clausewitz's first principle was to have a secure base. From there one proceeds to freedom of action. Together, that is sovereignty. You talk of kings and presidents. How much power do they possess? As much as the people will allow them. But I have to account to no one. That makes my position unique.
That is only the illusion of power. Any man with a loaded revolver has the power of life and death over his neighbors. Other people beside you have murdered in secret and got away with it. In the end, a greater power than they possess is exerted upon them by the community. That will happen to you, Dr. No. Your search for power is an illusion because power itself is an illusion.
So is beauty, Mr. Bond. So is art. So is money. So is death. And so probably is life. Let us go eat. Over dinner, I shall tell you my story.
The round mahogany table was laid for three. Silver and glass twinkled warmly. The plain dark blue carpet was luxuriously deep. Dr. No took the center high-backed chair and bowed the girl into the chair on his right. They sat down and unfolded napkins of white silk. The hollow ceremony and the charming room maddened Bond. He longed to break it up with his own hands, to wind his silk napkin round Dr. No's throat and squeeze until the contact lenses popped out of the black, damnable eyes.
I was the only son of a German Methodist missionary and a Chinese girl of good family. But I was born on what you call the wrong side of the blanket. I went to work in Shanghai and became involved with the Tongs and their illicit proceedings. I moved to the United States and settled in New York. I loved the death and destruction of people and things, and I became adept in the techniques of criminality. The killers, when they came in the night. I had stolen $1 million in gold from a criminal organization called the Hip Sings. They tracked me down. They cut off my hands to show that the corpse was that of a thief. They shot me through the heart and went away. But I am the one man in a million, Mr. Bond, who has his heart on the right side of his body. I lived. By sheer willpower, I survived the operation and the months in hospital. When they let me out, I decided to change my appearance. I had all my hair taken out by the roots. My thick nose made thin, my mouth widened, my lips sliced. I could not get smaller, so I made myself taller. I wore built-up shoes. I had weak traction on my spine. I changed my name to Julius. No, the Julius after my father, and the No for my rejection of him and of all authority. How are your lamb cutlets, Mr. Bond?
Fine.
And your chicken à l'anglaise?
It's very good, thank you.
Good. And so, my next task was to find a suitable site for my headquarters. It had to be an island. It had to be entirely private. It had to be capable of industrial development. I have been here for 14 secure and fruitful years. And then one day, I got a letter from the Audubon Society. A letter about these wretched birds, these roseate spoonbills. The Society gave me formal notification that they intend to build a hotel on their leasehold. Mr. Bond, can you believe it? The privacy I had achieved, the plans I had for the future, all this to be swept aside by the idiotic Audubon Society and their stupid birds. I sent to Florida for a marsh buggy, a vehicle that is used for oil prospecting that will cover any kind of terrain. I adapted it to frighten and to burn not only birds, humans as well. One night in December, I sent a buggy across the lake. It smashed through the camp. Both wardens were reported killed. The one, it turned out, escaped. to die in Jamaica. It burned the nesting place. The spoonbills died in their thousands. The Audubon Society demanded an investigation. I decided to agree. 2 officials were sent in an aeroplane. An accident was arranged. The bodies were placed reverently in coffins, and I reported the tragedy. Privacy was re-established. There are now no roseate spoonbills. So there will be no wardens. There will be no more interference.
Strangways and the girl. What happened to them?
Yes. Well, your Mr. Strangways became suspicious and started ferreting about. He and the girl are 50 fathoms down at the bottom of the Mona Reservoir. I sent 3 of my best men. As for you, well, I knew what type of man you were thanks to the files Miss Tarot removed from the king's house. I guessed that the fly would come to the spider. When your canoe showed up on the radar screen, I knew you would not get away.
Your radar is not very efficient. There were 2 canoes. The one you saw was the girl's. She's nothing to do with me.
Then she is unfortunate. I happen to be needing a white girl for a small experiment. As we agreed earlier, Mr. Bond, one generally gets what one wants.
Then you're out of luck, Dr. No. If I fail to return from Grab Key within 3 days, London will be alerted.
I wonder if that is true. I rather doubt it.
Because of the girl, and only because of her, I'll strike a bargain. In exchange for our safe return to Jamaica, you may have a week's start. Take your aeroplane and try to get away.
Oh, the police come and the soldiers come. Where is your evidence, your search warrant? Please go away and leave me in peace. Have you anything else to say? Well, you both have a busy night ahead of you, and I must get my sleep. The monthly ship from Antwerp is putting in tomorrow, and I have the loading to supervise.
You said this place is your headquarters. Headquarters for what? I can't believe you've gone to all this trouble just to cultivate bird shit.
Oh, you are quite right, Mr. Bond. My work is of a far more momentous nature. I'm sure you're aware that Turk's Island, about 300 miles from here, is the most important center for testing the missiles of the United States.
I know it's an important center, yes.
And you must have read that their rockets have been going astray recently.
Yes.
It may interest you to know that these failures have been caused here in Crab Key.
What am I supposed to say to that?
Oh, you don't believe me?
Why should I?
No matter, there are plenty who do. The Russians, for example, my partners in this venture, they trained 6 of my men. I have electronic equipment of the very highest sophistication. The Russians pay well for my expertise.
Perhaps you don't know the Russians as well as I do. You may be a best friend at the moment, but the Russians don't have partners. They'll want to take you over, buy you out with a bullet.
You cannot play for high stakes without taking risks, Mr. Bond. I accept the dangers, and so far as I can, I have equipped myself against them. Furthermore, I am on the edge of greater things. I can already bend the radio beams that control the American rockets, and very soon I shall be able to control them completely. To bring them down into the ocean near this island and salvage the secrets of their construction. And how much would Russia pay for each of the prototypes I captured? $10 million? 20? It would be a priceless victory in the armaments race. I could name my own figure. Don't you agree, Mr. Bond? And don't you agree that these considerations make your arguments and threats seem rather puny?
All right, Dr. No. What are your plans for us? Knife, bullet, poison, rope? Just make it quick. I've seen more than enough of you.
Very well. I shall summon the guards.
I'm sorry about this, honey.
Well, it hurt.
Of course it will hurt. I am interested in pain. I am interested in finding out how much the human body can endure. You have both caused me a great deal of trouble. In exchange, I intend to put you to a great deal of pain. It's a year since I put a girl to death in the fashion I have chosen for you. She was a negress. She lasted 3 hours. I have wanted a white girl for comparison, so I was not surprised when your arrival was reported. I always get what I want. And now, my dear, you have lived in Jamaica all your life, so you will know what I'm talking about. This island is called Crab Key because it is infested with land crabs. They weigh about 1 pound each and are as big as saucers. At this time of year, they come up in thousands from their holes near the shore and climb toward the mountains where they go to ground again and spawn their broods. They march in armies of hundreds. It is a compulsive migration. They devour whatever they find in their path. Tonight, on the mountainside, they will find the naked body of a young woman pegged out before them. A banquet indeed.
You bastard! You'll burn in hell for this.
Mr. Bond, I do not admit the existence of hell! Console yourself. Perhaps they will start at the throat or the heart. The movement of the pulse will attract them, and then it will not be long.
Yes, sir?
The girl has fainted. You know where to take her.
Yes, sir.
Let us now proceed to the method of your departure, Mr. Bond. I have just finished constructing an obstacle race, an assault course against death. I will say no more about it because the element of surprise is one of the constituents of fear. It is the unknown dangers that are the worst that bear most heavily on the reserves of courage. It'll be particularly interesting, Mr. Bond, that a man of your physical qualities is to be my first competitor. Run a good race for me, Mr. Bond. My thoughts, as they say, will be with you.
This is it, bud. You're at the starting gate. You can either sit here and rot or find your way out onto the course. Happy landings.
How would you like to earn $10,000 guaranteed and a ticket to anywhere in the world?
Thanks, mister. I'd rather stay alive.
Bond was in a grey-painted stone cell. The door was made of metal with no handle on the inside. There was nothing in the room except a wooden chair. There was a ventilation grill in one corner just below the ceiling. Bond set the chair beneath the grill and climbed onto it. He reached out towards the wire. Slowly, Bond got to his feet. He squinted up at the wire grill as if it might strike at him again. There was no other way out. The grill had to be removed. Presumably the electric shock had been to soften him up, a taste of pain to come. Bond reached up and tugged at the wire. It came away in his hand. He set to work unraveling the thick mesh. Then, using the chair as a hammer, he straightened the heavy wire. After 10 minutes, Bond had fashioned a crooked spear, about 4 feet long. He heaved himself into the metal ventilator shaft. It was about 4 inches wider than Bond's shoulders. Polished metal, zinc. Cool air blew into Bond's face.
Faint luminosity ahead.
A vertical shaft directly above him.
Slowly. 6 inches at a time.
Bond's body began to worm up the shaft.
Don't look up.
Think only of the inches of metal that have to be conquered one by one.
One by one.
Above him, light was shining through a thick porthole.
Yellowish light. The glass looks thick.
Suddenly, behind the glass, he saw movement, a pair of eyes observing.
Bastards.
No more light, blackness ahead.
It's getting warmer.
The smell of heat, metallic heat.
Right hand turn in the shaft. Hands, knees, toes. Faster. Faster.
There's no air, his lungs were bursting. Bond inched forward.
Something's blocking the shaft.
Wire mesh as fine as muslin.
Sound of movement. Creatures of some sort. But what?
Eyes like red pinpoints watching him.
Tarantulas. Giant tarantulas.
Was this Dr. No's killing ground?
There must be 20 of them at least. You have to get past them, somehow.
You see